So let's finish this part about the nutrients present in the soil by showing the macro and the micronutrients. So let's start first with terminology. Essential element. So an essential element can be defined as an element that is required for the plant to complete its life cycle. Historically, knowing that the element is essential or not was a kind of trial and error, but nowadays we have controlled experiments to assess whether the element is essential or not, and we take advantage of what we call hydroponic culture. So hydroponic culture, from the name hydro, means water. Hydroponic culture, so growing the plant in water containing nutrients instead of growing them in the soil. Why we do this? To determine which chemical element is essential or not. And why is that? Because the soil is a very complex environment. It contains many nutrients. It is difficult to control. So it has been replaced with this hydroponic culture. And in this image, we are showing an example of these experiments. So we have two plants. We have a control plant here in a solution containing all the minerals, and then the experimental setting, we have a solution containing all the minerals but without potassium. If you compare the growth in both, you can see that yes, this is still growing, but it is dramatically less growing than the one containing all nutrients. So you can conclude that potassium is an essential element that affects the growth of the plant. As we said, these essential elements can be classified into macro and micronutrients, so macro and micronutrients, and as the name implies, it's all about the amount of the element. So macronutrients are the nutrients that are needed in high amounts or high percentage. Then the micronutrients are the nutrients that are needed in minute amount. So we can see that we have here 9 macronutrients. If we start with the first two macronutrients, carbon and oxygen, you will see that both of them collectively they represent roughly like 90% of the mass of the dry tissue of the plant. So again, that highlights the need of these nutrients in large amounts. Because of that, they are macronutrients. If we move on to the micronutrients, for example, chlorine, iron, manganese, and so on, you will see that they are needed in minute amount. Another note that many of these micronutrients are actually cofactors for enzymes. So here this activates enzymes, this one activates enzymes, this one is activating enzymes, and so on. So many of the micronutrients, they are cofactors for enzyme activations. So because of that, they are essential, they are required, but in less amount. So please make sure that you understand this, because sometimes it is confusing. People may think that micronutrients, they are not needed, macronutrients are needed. This is not correct. Both of them, they are essential. Both of them, they are needed. They affect the plant growth, but in the need of these elements or nutrients is just the fact that classify them into macro or micro. Okay, then let's see. Here we are summarizing it. So 9 essential elements called macronutrients, which are needed in relatively large amounts. Then remaining 8 are called micronutrients because they are needed in very small amounts. Okay, so let's finish this, and let's finish our discussion about plants by showing this slide showing the symptoms of mineral deficiency. So let's see the deficiency of the common elements needed by the plants. So we have nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. So this is a healthy plant, And if you compare it to the one that is phosphate deficient, you will find this purple coloration developed on the leaves. Then if we move on to the potassium deficiency, we will find this yellowish burnt like color that is seen at the edges of the leaves. Then nitrogen deficiency, you can also see this reddish or yellowish coloration, but it starts at the tip of the leaf and then it moves through the middle of the leaves. And this is one difference between the potassium and the nitrogen deficiency. So here we can see it mainly at the edges of the leaf. Here we will see it at the middle of the leaf. So it started at the tip and it continued along the middle of the leaf. That's it. Hopefully that was helpful. Wishing you all the best and thank you.